Like, if there's never a better time for wrestling fans, you'd think there would be way more. You know, because like this is like the best time for them to be coming out like, honestly, I think it's the worst time for wrestling fans because I can't watch wrestling shows anymore where the fans are reacting like wrestling fans. They're reacting like a bunch of weirdos that do chants and claps and everything. It's just like, and I just don't, I can't watch that. I like watching just like I end up going back and watching old stuff, and it's like just the new stuff, the way the fans react. I don't even think it's like I don't think you can call it like a wrestling reaction. It's just like it's just weird. They've like hijacked this product and created a new new way you're supposed to view this stuff, and just I don't know. It's just it's losing me. I can honestly see professional wrestling as more and more.
Let me hear me out on this little theory that I have that I think we might have discussed when Mike was on last, and see if any of you guys have any thoughts on this. I think that obviously the wrestling that we grew up with is now changing because the fan base has changed. Because like when we growing up, like if you went to ECW, you saw those rowdy fans, and like those rowdy fans probably went the next day if there was a Philadelphia, Eagles game. They probably went to the hockey game or to the Eagles game or whatever, and they got just as rowdy. And now, as Hughley said, you got these fans that they just watch wrestling and nothing else. And the other thing is that these wrestling.
Stealing my line.
Not really actually stealing your line, commenting on your line, but for the interruption. And on top of that,
arguing.
And on top of that, we're starting to see like a lot of fans now, like the geeks, nerds. I don't use that disparagingly, but the geeks, nerds, and like LGBTQ community, like they're all starting to like this is like their new thing now, wrestling, and now you're starting to watch them become wrestlers too. And there's like a whole new fan base of like nerds and geeks and comic book guys.
But let me tell you what Conan is this too. It's a lot of these social justice fans, like the millennials. What they do is when they become a part of the product and fans of it, they start making up all these rules that everybody else has to follow. Yep. Like all these things, like if you're a fan, you're not allowed to do this. If you're a wrestler, you can't. If you're a wrestling promotion, you can't do this. And they get like, it's like they shove all these rules down your throats, and like you want to sit there and say like, hey, wait a second, guys, these are up for debate. I don't want to I'm not accepting this. Like all these new rules that you guys people are coming up with without debating you on it. And it's like if you try and debate them, then they drive name calling and stuff. It's like their way or the highway.
But don't you agree that there does need to be some progression as far as how?
No, we need.
Progression doesn't. With you at all.
Let me tell you this.
What a quick answer.
It's always assumed that progressive thought is better. It's like no. It's like people coming up with new, different ideas. Just because they're coming up with new progressive ideas doesn't mean they're good ideas. What they do is like a lot of them are bad ideas, but you get enough of people agreeing with it, and it's a small pocket of people, and they like bulldoze this new idea right through everybody. And if you're not on board with it, you're getting slandered, name called, like you're a hater, just something. But a lot of these new like fan rules and stuff, they take away the one element that has always been necessary for professional wrestling. Is that if you're suspending disbelief, you need heat. Okay, and heat is an emotional response where you don't like somebody or you don't like, and it's like this new progressive thought of inclusivity and stuff. I think like no, it's like I'm not with that.
Okay,
wrestling is based on combat and conflict.
Okay, wait 1 second.
The reason I still watch wrestling is because it's inclusive now. I mean, I am a queer person. I'm a member of the LGBTQ community, and if I didn't see that people were able to come out and be themselves, I wouldn't be watching this shit. So I understand what you're saying to a degree, but now I think that there's just cheap heat that doesn't need to be done because it's been done 1,000 times before and it's never
done. Give me an example. Give me an example cheap. Well, what's
people because they're gay? It's stupid and dumb. Like, what the fuck? Who the fuck gives a shit what somebody's sexual orientation is? That's a dumb way to get heat, in my opinion.
Felicia, let me ask you real quick because you
put over the fact you're smoking a blunt. I like that.
That's a sacrament.
I have morals, okay? I didn't say I was a good person.
Let me ask you a question.
Son of
okay? This is
Okay, what were you gonna say, Joe? Go ahead. What's your question?
Just that if the fan, we're talking about how different the fan base is and how they're maybe not as rowdy. But I wanted to ask Felicia, as a manager on the Indies, how different are the fans? Like, do people still yell a lot of rude shit at you because you're the heel female manager? Has it changed? Do people still go over the line?
No, I mean, I set the line. I set the tone. I call myself a slut before they can, and then they're invited to do so with me. I mean, that's what I do. I have used sexuality in the ring against somebody, but I too was bisexual when calling him a bisexual bitch. There's ways to do it, I do agree, but there's ways to not do it. And I think that if you show respect to what you're doing, and especially if you're a member of the community within it, there is a way to get by and get all of the heat that you need. People scream shit at me all the time, especially at non-family friendly shows. They call me a slut, they call me a whore, they tell me their safe word, all sorts of shit, but it gives me good banter. I'm not saying that shit should go away, but the people in the ring should be determining where the line lives. And I think more fans being respectful of that, I think, is important.
What does Mike Durbin say for it? Vince Russo? Nothing? Nothing, Mike?
Disco, what was your take on the guy that shouted "Go back to China" to the Japanese wrestler at NXT?
Big deal. I mean, like, this is my whole thing. You're performing in professional wrestling business. This is what these like young up and comers don't realize. Okay, is that you're gonna be, if you want to do this for a living, at a live show in your career, you're going to be performing in front of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people over the course of your career.
Properly.
But listen to this. Let me tell you something. No, let me finish.
She was quick,
Let me finish. If you don't think that if you look at just the standard deviation of fans in the bell curve, right, that there are going to be a percentage of assholes in the crowd, it's not your job to sit there and stop your performance in the middle of it and try to police the way that they're acting. Okay, just that's what you're doing is like you're breaking character,
right?
Because you're letting the person know that, like, that hey,
you got
to me personally.
Right. Which now you look like a jack off, and now
everybody
else jumps on you, and they'll jump on you on other shows. It's almost like, bro, if you went to theater and you're watching some shit about Julius Caesar and Brutus, who's the bad guy, comes out and you start booing him, and he goes, "What the fuck are you booing?" You don't fucking stop in the middle of a fucking theater, to fucking chop it up with the fans or argue with them. I would like to say that Disco is a big fan of when Nia Jax was called Hot Dog, too.
Cheeseburger.
I mean, somebody yelled that I had syphilis in the ring the other day. I didn't break character.
Right, that's great. That's what you're supposed to do.
But it worked that's the thing is, like, it just needs to work with what you're doing. And it worked with what I was doing. Yes, that's correct. Tell me I have syphilis. That's the whole point of me being in the ring. But I'm also not going to entertain it unless it really works within what I'm doing. You know what I mean? But I understand what you guys were saying, but I think that there definitely needs to be a new line drawn for a lot of things.
Well,
I agree with Mike.
Wait, like what?
Wait a second. Wait, what
like
do you mean by a line drawn? What do you mean?
Like, you can't just get away with certain things because you want heat. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be smart about it, and you have to do it right.
Okay, but give me an example. What words or lines should not be crossed?
Like there's no reason to say the F word in the ring, or the N word, or words that just are not. If it's not appropriate in society, like, it really just needs to be thought about before you bring it into the ring.
But here's the thing. This is what people fail to realize. It's like somebody uses the N word, okay, bro. You're not going to find anybody based on the way people that do that are treated by media, by everybody else. You're not going to find anybody supporting that. Okay? If somebody's doing it, or somebody says it, or says it at a show, you understand, everybody understands. That's wrong. It shouldn't be done. Don't do it again. Shut up, jerk. You're being an asshole. Sit down. Okay? There's no reason to make a whole week thing on social media about, like, somebody says, because somebody, like, said something, an improper thing at a show, where it gets blown up and everybody virtue signals on, oh, this is not right. We should not be doing this at a show. This is terrible. Like, yeah, of course but we get it. Everybody knows this. Right. Everybody shouting at the crowds of all times. I'm just saying, it's like if it happens, it's not a significant thing. If it happens all the time, repeatedly, over and over, and says, yeah, but, like, if it happens once in a blue moon, it's not like we don't have to make some social comment on it. It's like, yeah, the guy's an idiot. Somebody used an N-word in a show. Like, what a schmuck. You know, so now have to make a we don't. Should not be allowed. It's like we get it. Everybody knows this. Everybody understands this. We've all been educated to this.
But if
all we
everybody
do is
knew it, then that schmuck wouldn't be there.
it's one person.